The true story behind Bitcoin will blow your mind. Bitcoin, the digital gold, and the groundbreaking blockchain technology changed the way we think about money forever. But where did it all begin? How did an idea that seemed like science fiction turn into a global phenomenon? Today, we're diving into the hidden history of cryptocurrency, from the birth of Bitcoin to the rise of blockchain. In this video, we're going to uncover the untold stories of the visionaries and rebels who laid the groundwork for what we know as cryptocurrency. We'll talk about the early days of digital money experiments, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin, and the revolutionary technology that makes it all possible. You'll hear about the pioneers who risked everything, the challenges they faced, and the incredible impact their inventions have on our world today. So, be prepared, as we are about to explore the fascinating and sometimes crazy history of cryptocurrency. Let's jump right in and start with the early days of digital money. Our story begins in the 1980s with a man named David Chaum. David was a cryptographer who had a big idea. What if we could create digital money? He believed this could change how we use money and make it safer and more private. So, he created something called DigiCash, a company focused on making digital money a reality. David invented a special technology called the Blind Signature Protocol. This allowed people to make secure and anonymous payments online. A big deal back then. But despite his groundbreaking work, things didn't go smoothly. DigiCash faced many challenges. People weren't ready for digital money, and banks were too comfortable with credit cards to take a risk on this new idea. One of David's notable employees was Nick Szabo. Nick had his own ideas about digital money, which he called BitGold. He wanted to create a digital currency that worked like gold, something valuable on its own without needing banks. Unfortunately, like DigiCash, BitGold didn't take off, but it laid important groundwork for the future. These early experiments were exciting, but also full of challenges. The world just wasn't ready for digital money yet. But these pioneers planted the seeds for what would come next. In the 1990s, a group of smart and rebellious people, known as the cypherpunks, started pushing the idea of digital money even further. They believed in using cryptography and computers to protect privacy and create a new kind of money that governments couldn't control. The cypherpunks were like digital libertarians. They wanted to build a system where people could make transactions without banks or other intermediaries. They used mailing lists and online forums to share ideas and work on their projects. Some of their ideas were quite radical, but they were all focused on one thing: freedom. Among the cypherpunks, there were many influential figures. Wei Dai, for example, proposed a system called B-Money, which aimed to create online economies free from government regulation. Although B-Money never became a reality, it contributed valuable ideas to the field. This movement wasn't without controversy. Some ideas, like Jim Bell's assassination politics, were extreme and led to legal troubles. But despite the chaos, the cypherpunks made significant contributions to the development of digital currencies. Their work set the stage for what would come next: the creation of Bitcoin. In 2008, something incredible happened. An unknown person or group using the name Satoshi Nakamoto published a paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This paper outlined a new kind of digital money that didn't rely on banks or governments. It introduced the world to Bitcoin and the technology behind it, called blockchain. On January 3, 2009, Satoshi mined the first block of Bitcoin, known as the Genesis block. This block contained a hidden message: the Times 03 Jan 2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. This message hinted at Bitcoin's purpose: a response to the financial crisis and a broken banking system. Bitcoin was revolutionary because it solved a big problem called double spending. Before Bitcoin, digital money could be copied and spent more than once, which made it unreliable. Satoshi's solution was the blockchain, a public ledger where every transaction is recorded and verified by a network of computers called miners. This made Bitcoin secure and trustworthy without needing a central authority. In those early days, Bitcoin was worth almost nothing. The first known Bitcoin transaction was in 2010 when a programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 bitcoins. Today, those bitcoins would be worth millions, showing how much Bitcoin has grown. Satoshi continued to work on Bitcoin with a small group of enthusiasts, fixing bugs and improving the system. But in 2011, Satoshi suddenly disappeared, leaving the project in the hands of the community. Satoshi's true identity remains a mystery to this day. After Bitcoin's launch, adoption was slow. Most people didn't understand what it was or why it mattered. But a small group of believers saw its potential and began mining, trading, and using Bitcoin. Early adopters included tech enthusiasts, libertarians, and those skeptical of traditional banking systems. One of the first big challenges was securing the Bitcoin network. Early on, there were several hacking attempts and technical issues that needed to be fixed. For example, in 2010, a bug in the Bitcoin code allowed someone to create 184 billion Bitcoins. This bug was quickly fixed, but it showed the risks and difficulties of running a new digital currency. Another challenge was legal and regulatory uncertainty. Governments and financial institutions were wary of Bitcoin. They didn't know how to classify it or what regulations should apply. This uncertainty made some people hesitant to get involved. Despite these challenges, Bitcoin started to gain traction. Online forums and communities grew, spreading the word and helping new users understand how to use Bitcoin. The first Bitcoin exchanges appeared, making it easier to buy and sell Bitcoin. There were also setbacks. In 2011, the infamous Silk Road, an online marketplace that used Bitcoin for illegal activities, was shut down by the FBI. This gave Bitcoin a bad reputation as the currency for criminals, but the community persisted, believing in Bitcoin's potential to change the world. By 2013, Bitcoin's value started to rise, attracting more attention. Media coverage increased, and more people began to see Bitcoin as a serious innovation. It was a rocky start, but the foundations were being laid for Bitcoin's future growth and acceptance. So how does Bitcoin actually work? Let's break it down in simple terms. Bitcoin is a digital currency, which means there are no physical coins or notes. Instead, it exists entirely online. When you own Bitcoin, you basically own a digital key that lets you access a certain amount of Bitcoin on the network. When you want to send Bitcoin to someone, you create a transaction. This transaction is like a message that says, "I'm sending X amount of Bitcoin to this person." But here's the trick. To make sure this transaction is legitimate, it needs to be verified. That's where the miners come in. Miners are people, or rather, they're computers, who use their computing power to solve complex mathematical problems. These problems are part of the Bitcoin network's security system. When a miner solves one of these problems, they get to add a new block of transactions to the blockchain. The blockchain is a public ledger that records every Bitcoin transaction ever made. It's like a huge digital book that everyone can see and verify. Each block is linked to the previous one, creating a chain of blocks, hence the name blockchain. This linking makes it very hard to alter any information in the blockchain, because you'd have to change every block that comes after it, which is practically impossible. For their work, miners are rewarded with new Bitcoins. This process is called mining, and it's how new Bitcoins are created. But there's a limit. Only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist. This limit is set in the Bitcoin code to prevent inflation, making Bitcoin more like a digital version of gold. When you send Bitcoin, the network of miners checks to make sure you have enough Bitcoin to make the transaction and that you're not trying to spend the same Bitcoin twice. Once they verify your transaction, it gets added to the blockchain and the recipient receives their Bitcoin. Bitcoin has come a long way since its humble beginnings. It's no longer just a niche interest for tech geeks and libertarians. It's now a global phenomenon that has sparked a whole new industry. One of Bitcoin's biggest impacts is that it has shown the world that a decentralized currency is possible. It has challenged the traditional financial system and introduced the concept of digital scarcity, something that can be both digital and limited in supply. Bitcoin has also inspired the creation of thousands of other cryptocurrencies. These new digital currencies, often called altcoins, have built on Bitcoin's technology and introduced their own innovations. Some focus on privacy, like Monero, while others aim to improve transaction speed and scalability, like Ethereum. Bitcoin's influence extends beyond just currency. The technology behind it, blockchain, is being used in various fields, from supply chain management to voting systems. It's changing how we think about trust and verification in the digital age. Looking ahead, the future of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology seems bright and full of possibilities. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are becoming more accepted, with major companies and even some governments showing interest. Blockchain technology, the backbone of Bitcoin, is being explored for use in many other areas. For example, it can help make supply chains more transparent, protect digital identities, and even enable secure online voting. There are still challenges to overcome, like improving scalability and reducing energy consumption, but the potential is enormous. As more people understand and trust these technologies, their adoption will likely grow. The story of Bitcoin and blockchain is a journey from a mysterious idea to a global phenomenon. We've seen how early experiments paved the way, how Bitcoin works, and its impact on the world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden history of cryptocurrency, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more interesting stories and insights. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content.